Welcome back to the cryptoworld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still playing out the larger bearish trend, but we have just now seen the worst day in history for any single US company. That is right, we've just seen NVIDIA wipe out more money from its market cap than we've ever seen in the history of all stock markets. The biggest one-day loss, which is crashing crypto. But right now, Bitcoin is running into this critical area of support, while Ethereum is continuing to break to the downside here, but has just now hit this exact technical price target for this pattern right here. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts, we need to talk about the news today, because just over the last one day, we saw the worst day in history. That is right, we just saw the largest loss in the value of a company that we've ever seen in the history of the stock market worldwide, with NVIDIA just losing 9.5% in a single day. And considering NVIDIA is now a massive company with a very large multi-trillion-dollar market cap, that resulted in the largest loss in basically the market cap of any company in a single day. So we just saw NVIDIA basically wipe out nearly 280 billion US dollars of value in a single day. So basically over $250 billion of value was wiped out, completely lost from one single company in one single day. And so, of course, with a massive wipeout like this, the largest loss in history for any single company in a single day, this basically crashed the overall US stock market over the last one day. And because markets are usually quite correlated, the stock market is pretty correlated with Bitcoin, not 100% perfect correlation, but usually if we see a major move, usually that also translates over to crypto. So we also saw a bit of a dump over the last one day in the price of Bitcoin and crypto. Obviously, not as bad as what we saw for NVIDIA right here, but still a bit of short-term bearish price action basically translated over to the crypto market. And in case you're wondering, this chart right here is showing the NVIDIA share price, the stock price for NVIDIA, and this is on the 1 hour time frame. So over the last one day, this is the drop that we saw in NVIDIA, resulting in the largest loss in the market cap of NVIDIA, the largest loss in a company that's ever happened in history in a single day. But with that being said, now getting into the Bitcoin and crypto charts. This is on the 4-day Bitcoin chart. Looking at the super trend indicator, this is still sitting in the red, indicating a larger bearish trend, which I've already been saying for a long time now on the channel. And taking a look at the 2-day Bitcoin chart, obviously we're still within the larger bearish trend, forming lower highs and lower lows. And now, of course, even during a larger bearish trend, we can see the occasional move back to the upside here and there during the larger bearish trend. But ultimately, when we're in a larger bearish trend, we should be expecting more bearish price action than bullish price action. So once again, we can see the occasional short-term bullish price action, but we're ultimately going to see more bearish price action than bullish price action while we're in this trend. And as of right now, the support line for this massive descending broadening wedge pattern is sitting at around 52,500, and the line of resistance for this pattern right here is sitting at just above 68,000. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart over the last one day, the DXY is still basically trading sideways just in the short term, so we don't really have a lot of new information on this chart right here. So getting straight into this daily Bitcoin chart, and we can actually see a rejection almost exactly from this area of resistance, sitting in between around 60,000 to 61,000. And so obviously, as I said in my last video, we still need to keep in mind we have strong resistance to the upside. So even though we can see the occasional bounce from support, expect the price to struggle around these areas of resistance, which is exactly what we saw over the last one day. Basically, the moment the price of Bitcoin touched close to $60,000, we saw a strong rejection from that area, which is proving that is still acting as strong resistance. So that is still strong resistance to pay attention to right now. But if we were to see a breakout back above 60 to 61,000, we still have more resistance at around 62.9k and more resistance at around 64,500. And as of right now, we are right now running into this area of support, sitting in between around 56,000 to 57,000. So right now, that is still the support to pay attention to. But if we see a confirmed break back below 56,000, then in that case, the next short-term support to pay attention to is sitting at around 54,000. And below that level, we have more support in between around 51 to 53,000. But once again, at least for now, the support to pay attention to is 56 to 57,000, which so far is holding up as support as of recording this video. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, obviously this short-term bullish divergence here played out a lot faster than what was expected. Usually a bullish divergence on the 4-hour time frame plays out over at least a few days, but this time around it only played out over around 1.5 days before we basically invalidated the bullish divergence. And once again, one of the major reasons why we've potentially invalidated this bullish divergence sooner rather than later is due to the fact that we've just seen the worst day in history in the US stock market for a single company. So of course, seeing the worst day in history is going to impact the crypto market as well. And so obviously that is also why I always say that it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. So for example, here in the small time frames, like the 4-hour chart, this flips between bullish and bearish basically every single day. So for example, we could be bullish one day and then bearish the very next day, and then flipping bullish the next day again, and then bearish again, pretty much every single day here on the small time frames. But if we're zooming out to a larger time frame, this basically stays in the same position for much longer. So I've already been saying for a long time now on the channel, basically every single day for weeks, possibly even up to a month now, that we're within a larger bearish trend. And during that last 1 month or so, while I've been bearish non-stop on this larger trend right here, basically not flipping once over the last 1 month on these larger time frames, of course, in the short term, I've flipped between bullish and bearish much more often on these small time frames because that's what the small time frames do. So if you basically are annoyed between flipping between bullish and bearish all the time, then stay away from the small time frames, stick to the larger time frames where it's basically the same story every single day for months. And just before talking about what I now expect for Bitcoin moving forwards, first of all, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take just about all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now over on Bybit, where you could potentially win up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is Bitfinex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitfinex. And if you use the link down below this video to Bitfinex, you can get a 5.5k deposit bonus, and also only if you use that link you can get an exclusive 10% discount on all trading fees on the exchange forever, but only if you use that link down below this video to make your Bitfinex account. And so as an alternative exchange out there to Bybit, one that you can actually access from the US or the UK, unlike Bybit, there is Bitfinex, once again, link down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And now, what do I expect for Bitcoin moving forward? And well, first of all, as I've already been saying for a long time, I'm still bearish on the larger time frames. So despite what happens in the short term, obviously we can see short-term bullish price action and short-term bearish price action. But despite what happens in the short term on the small time frames, the larger time frames are still bearish. But if we're talking about the shorter term, now that the price is running into this critical area of support, it's likely that we're going to find some support around this area, aka buyers coming into play in between around 56 to 57,000, at least in the short term, possibly for a day or two. Obviously, it might not last as long as what usually happens, like what we saw back here, for example, if we see other bearish factors like the largest stock collapse in history. But at least for now, just in the imminent short term, we are finding support right here, which means it's likely that potentially for a day or so, we could stabilize just here in the short term during the larger bearish trend. But I would not necessarily flip overly bullish again. Ultimately, in order to flip a lot more bullish again, we need to see strong confirmed breakouts above key levels of resistance, which so far have not happened. Obviously, we've seen strong rejections basically so far from all of these levels of resistance, which is an indication of a bearish market. And a lot of people out there think that during a larger bearish trend, we cannot make any money in crypto, but obviously we can make a lot of profits in crypto if you know what you're doing during even a bearish trend or a crash in the price of Bitcoin here using short positions and things like that. And I'll cover that later in the video. I'll leave a link to another video later in this video, so stick around to the end if you want to know how to do that. But first, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and over the last one day, obviously we took out this area of liquidity, which was sitting at just underneath 57,000, which obviously I talked about that in my last video. I said we have a lot of liquidations, a lot of liquidity still sitting at just underneath 57,000, which once again over the last one day has just now been taken out. And so now that we've taken out that area of liquidity, we still have more liquidity to the downside at just above 55,000. But with that being said, we also have a decent amount of liquidity at around $60,000. So that's also a potential price target to pay attention to. But keep in mind, there's resistance as well, very close to $60,000 as we've seen just here. And we also have a potential bit of resistance right here at around 59,500. And once again, overall, despite what the liquidation heat map is telling us, overall the larger trend is still bearish. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, and right now the price of ETH is also seeing a break to the downside in the imminent short term here, breaking below around 2450 to 2.5k, which has been short-term support here for the price of ETH during this larger bearish trend. And so once again, as I've already been saying basically every day for a long time now on the channel, I'm still bearish on the larger time frames as the price is clearly forming lower highs and lower lows, which is what a bearish market is. And with that being said, the next major area of support to the downside is this golden pocket right here, sitting in between around 2150 to 2.2k. And right now around 2,500 could potentially be acting as new resistance. And above that level, we also have this strong level of resistance right here, which was previous support sitting at around 2.8k. And if we're looking at the RSI on the 3-day time frame, we still potentially have more room to the downside here. But with that being said, there's also the possibility of a bullish divergence forming here on the 3-day time frame, with a new lower low possibly forming right now in the candle closes, but that still needs to be confirmed, and possibly higher lows forming in the RSI. But once again, this still needs to be confirmed. So this is just something to watch out for, but it is not yet confirmed as of right now. And if we're taking a look at this 8-hour time frame, obviously just recently, like the short-term bullish divergence for Bitcoin, we've also effectively invalidated this short-term bullish divergence. But with that being said, there's a possibility of a new bullish divergence forming between these two lows right here. As I just said, we're potentially forming a new lower low in the candle closes here, which has not yet been confirmed in the candle closes, and same with the higher low in the RSI. As of right now, we're forming a higher low between these two lows, but at least for now, this has not yet been confirmed. And so this is just something to pay attention to, as it does potentially continue to form over the next day or two. And if we're taking a look at the 6-hour time frame, once again, we've invalidated this short-term bullish divergence with a continuation of this break to the downside. Now, obviously, as I explained in my last video here on the channel, I was expecting a little bit more of a bullish relief, possibly for another couple of days here, before eventually a continuation to the downside back down towards around 2.3k. I said over the last few days, in fact, over the last week, I've been targeting around 2.3k as the bearish price target for this bearish rising wedge pattern. And just recently, we've hit almost exactly 2.3k, which has been my exact bearish price target over the last week or so. So we've effectively now completed this pattern right here by completing the bearish price target and hitting 2.3k. And so obviously, congrats to anyone out there that did end up taking this trading opportunity right here. For example, if you shorted Ethereum at the point of the breakdown, or even if you waited for a little bit of confirmation after we saw some candle closes below the point of the breakdown here and started entering a short position anywhere around here. Obviously, if you traded this move all the way to the price target and closed or took profits at around 2.3k, obviously you've done well with this trade. So congrats to anyone out there that did end up taking this breakout trade right here, or this breakdown trade right here. And now, with that being said, now that the price of ETH has pretty much exactly hit my exact technical price target for this break to the downside here, what do I expect moving forward for the price of ETH? And well, first of all, on the larger time frames, I'm still bearish, as I've been saying for a long time, but in the imminent short term, I expect the price to basically stabilize a little bit just for now over the next one day potentially. And the reasons why I'm saying that is because right now the price of ETH has just bounced from 2.3k, which was previous support in the price of ETH based on these previous previous lows and is once again acting as support, once again very close to 2.3k. And on top of the price running into support here in the short term, we're also seeing the RSI on these smaller time frames getting very close to oversold territories, which basically means we're reaching our downside limit in the imminent short term. Of course, when the RSI enters into oversold territories, it does not mean we're at the bottom, but it means that we're getting very close to at least some sort of bounce or sideways consolidation before potentially a continuation of the bearish trend later on, after we first see a bit of a break from the bearish price action. And on top of that, usually after we see a quick dump in the price, it's very normal to see a bit of choppy sideways price action in the short term for the next few days after the dump, before eventually the next move starts playing out, which in this case was another bearish move, considering once again the larger trend is still bearish. So overall, I'm still very bearish on the larger timeframes, as I've already been saying every day for a long time on the channel. But in the short term, just over the next day or two, I do expect the price to stabilize for a little bit, just in the imminent short term during the bearish trend. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, and right now we're seeing the price running into this critical area of support again, which is sitting in between around 120 to 128. And so far we're still finding a lot of buyers in this region, because we did actually dip further into this area of support over the last day, but so far we've seen a decent bounce almost out of that area. We've almost come back up towards around 128, and so at least for now 120 to 128 is still acting as strong support, at least as of right now, for the price of Solana. And as for resistance, we still have a lot of resistance sitting at around 139 to 143, and more resistance at around 159 to 163. And over the last day or so, we saw a rejection very close to this resistance, just a couple of dollars underneath this resistance, which we rejected from basically around 137 to 138. And once again, this resistance is sitting at around 138 to 139 is basically where it's starting. And so obviously, as I explained in my last video, I did expect a little bit of a bounce in the imminent short term from this area of support, but I explained in my last video, watch out for these areas of resistance, because that is where the price is most likely going to struggle at. And just a couple of dollars away from this resistance, we started to see the price struggle very close to that area, and obviously see a rejection back down towards this area of support. And now, what do I expect for Solana moving forward? Well, in the imminent short term, I expect the price to stabilize just over the next 1 or 2 days here, now that we're running into this critical area of support again. But at least for now, we're lacking any bullish momentum. So we're running into support, but we don't really have any bullish momentum, which is pointing towards a bit of basically choppy sideways price action for the price in the imminent short term here. And this is currently occurring within a much larger sideways price range, at least for now. And once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.